Good evening. We'll call this regular board meeting of the Fairborn City Schools Board of Education to order, Thursday, December 6th, 2018. It's great to see so many visitors in here tonight.
That's
so
awesome.
A lot of people to honor and appreciate a lot of hard work going on in the district. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We recently learned that a longtime supporter and member of several boards of education in the area, Mr. Bill Spar, passed away. So if we could all please have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Mr. Philo, please call the roll.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Malad.
Here.
Mr. Browning.
Here.
Mr. McCourt.
Here.
Ms. Reister.
Okay, Ms. Reister is on a business trip, so. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Malad.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. McCourt.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes. Motion carries. There's several very important things on the agenda tonight, which we'll get into as we go along. So I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Thursday, November 1st regular board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Mr. McCourt.
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
Yes.
Mrs. Malad.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to board reports and board member good of the order. Mr. McCourt.
Oh, well, winter sports obviously starting up. Was at a basketball game a couple nights ago. And down in Springboro, our guys didn't come out on top, but they're looking good. So we look forward to maybe everyone coming out and supporting the boys and ladies, or boys and girls basketball teams. And not only them, but all of our winter sports going on. Also, I attended a Magic Kingdom breakfast put on by the band not too long ago, and this was such a great turnout. A lot of good comments. Seems to be growing year after year. Kids' faces just light up when they sit down and have breakfast with some of the Walt Disney characters. And I might add that this was all put on and all organized by the kids, not the school, not the teachers, but the kids. And they too seemed to enjoy it, and pancakes were pretty good, so it was a good day. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Browning.
Yeah, I had a chance to go to both the National Junior Honor Society induction and the high school National Honor Society induction. And it's really neat to see those kids that are excelling and getting inducted. And the thing I wanted to do was thank the leadership of the district and all the teachers and everybody that plays a hand in that, because, you know, the kids are getting the credit which they so deserve, but there's a lot of people behind their success. And so I wanted to thank everybody behind their success. Went to the Thanksgiving breakfast or lunch at Baker Middle School the day or 2 days before Thanksgiving. And this is probably the third or fourth year that I've done it. And that's such a neat event, and it's a pleasure to get a chance to serve Thanksgiving to all the sixth graders and their families and guests that come into that event. And there's a lot of people that volunteer and cook a lot of turkeys and stuff for that. Went to the middle school band concert, and the thing that's neat about that is they start off with the sixth graders, and they start off with what they sound like the first few days of band, and it's not very good, as you can tell, because it's the first time a lot of them have picked up instruments. And they show the progression of them just this far into the year, and it's really good. Then you get a chance to see the 7th grade, then you get a chance to see the 8th grade. And it's amazing the improvement that you have from 6th to 8th grade in the band students. And then this past weekend was the winter concert, both Saturday and Sunday, and that includes orchestra, band, choirs, and I always walk away from that every year thinking, what talent do we have, that we have in the district around those programs, and then the leadership of the music programs that we have, and we're lucky that we've got them, and you can tell that in the way the performances go. So that's it.
Mrs. Malad.
Okay. I too had the pleasure of serving Thanksgiving at Baker. I would like for all of you to encourage your children to try cranberry sauce. It was a very disappointing turnout on my table.
And corn. And corn.
But many thanks to the Walker and Barr families for doing the work that they do. I don't even know how those ladies pull off all those mashed potatoes
Right.
and stuff for that many families. But it really is a fun event. And if you don't have a 6th grader yet, that's something to look forward to for sure. Was also at the middle school choir concert, and many thanks to Karen Greta for pulling that off just the day after the winter concert. I don't know how she does that many in a row. But, and then I think she turned around the other night and had to go to her own child's concert. So that's a lot for her to be doing as the director of our choral program. So we appreciate her very much. But it's lovely to see all of you here tonight. We're going to
Right.
have a lot of people that we're honoring, a lot of kids in the audience. And so welcome to your first board meeting. And I want you all to know that when we're done with your part, it's okay to leave. All right? Don't feel like you need to stay, because then it just gets boring. All right?
It looked like it was.
Nice selling job. Okay, well, I also attended the National Honor Society induction at the high school. That's great to see the students there, some of them that overcome a great deal of adversity in their families and maintain their grade levels. So there's challenges all over in this community. Attended the winter concert and the Baker Middle School choir concert. What's amazing to me in these programs is the number of students that are participating in these things. The middle school choir concert, somewhere between 170 and 180 students were up there on the stage at the closing ceremony. And if you put everybody, you couldn't put everybody in the band concerts for the winter concert, band and the
Right.
choir concerts. There's probably 400 or 500 kids in those programs. Also attended the Ohio School Boards Association Capital Conference event up in Columbus, a Sunday through Tuesday afternoon educational and board development and informational sessions up there. Had an update from the state legislature of things going on, potential things going on, one of which seems to be happening, fingers crossed here, that we'll get some relief from the high school graduation requirements for the next 2 years. So that's a hopeful sign there. So that's all I have, and we'll move on
Mr.
to...
President, may I interject one other thing? I apologize for forgetting this, but myself, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Philo also attended, we're up at the primary school. The Rotary Club, year after year, gives away dictionaries to the kids. And that's something we may not see a lot of anymore in these up-and-coming times, but we were able to give away how many?
About 300.
300? Yeah, 300 dictionaries to third graders at our primary school. So it's not only, and we'd like for you to know that not only just us board members are out in the community doing things, but we even got our new CFO, Mr. Philo, out to help us out. Thank you, sir. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Okay. We'll move on to recognition of visitors, public comments. If there's anybody that wishes to address the board, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, limit your comments to 5 minutes. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close recognition of visitors and move on to school district presentations, which is the reason probably,
A majority are
yeah,
here.
all but
97%
maybe 2 or 3 people are here.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. We do have a couple of different groups here to recognize tonight. The first group to be recognized will be the National Geography B. And here to do the presentation is Mrs. Wyatt and Mrs. Grippa.
Thank you. I cannot take credit for this. Actually, this was brought on by a parent. A parent contacted me last spring and said, I want my son to transfer to your school, but do you have the National Geographic Geography B at your school? And I said, we will now. And so I threw it out to the teachers just to see if there was interest, and Miss Grippa jumped into it because her brother was a state champion at the National Geographic Geography B. So it means a lot to her and her family. So I'm going to let her explain it and talk about some of the students that are involved and where we are in the process. So, Kaylee?
Great. My name is Kaylee Grippa. I'm an intervention specialist at the intermediate building. I watched my brother go through these competitions for several years. It's a competition for 4th through 8th graders. Right now, there are over 10,000 schools participating for this current year. We have 10 students that are going to be participating in our final round next Thursday at 9 o'clock. They are Gabe Kunkel, right there. He had the highest score of our preliminary test that everyone in the building took.
Awesome.
All right.
He is a 4th grader. I feel like I should mention that. He beat out all of the 5th graders. Oliver Brunn, Izzy Harrison, Ishpreet Singh, Evan Sanchez, Colin Flores, Amani Cunningham, Tyler Myers, Jordan Crowthers, and Isabella Cerna are the other 9 participants. It is very similar to a spelling bee, just with questions about national and world geography. So some of them might be multiple choice, some of them they might have to refer to a map, some things they write the answer down, but it runs very similar to your school's spelling bee. I have a couple questions that I can share with you guys if we have a minute.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In 2017, the city of Beirut hosted the International Basketball Federation Asia Cup in what small Mediterranean country?
Beirut's in
Anybody?
Lebanon.
Lebanon. Good. Yeah.
You win.
I knew where Beirut was.
I can.
You did too.
One more. Let's see. Most kangaroos are left-handed. This includes eastern gray kangaroos that live near the Great Dividing Range on which continent?
Australia.
So I gave you guys some of the easy ones. They get a lot harder.
Can we have the participants who are here stand up or come
Come
forward so
Yeah.
we can shake your hands?
Yeah.
And there's a certificate.
Is just Gabe
That's
here?
okay. We like to shake his hand.
This Gabe?
Yeah. Well, then high
These
five
are
both
the
of them.
spelling bee.
Good.
Good luck next week.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Well, these are just, yeah. And we'd also like to recognize FIS's Geography Bee champs and runners-up. So we have Spelling Bee, what did I say? Sorry. It's what's on my mind right now. We have Eli Mason in 3rd place. You here?
Hold them up.
No? Okay. Kader Sam, is that correct? For 2nd place.
Pam, do you want to stay up so that we can get a good picture?
Get a picture, yeah.
Come stand over here.
Awesome job.
And in first place, we have Jeffrey Knapp.
I think it's just these two, right? Or you want to do the geography B too, so that they're all together from the highest?
Come on, we want to get your picture.
Yeah, whenever it is picture. All right. Thank you. Good job, guys.
The next group of students to be recognized, we have among us tonight some state champions. And here to be recognized is the Fairborn City Schools Chess Club champions, Mr. Sheeler.
Thank you very much. What I want to do, I want to introduce our chess coaches. Mr. Mumford, Mr. Rogers, would you come up, please? These are the gentlemen who make these kids as excellent as they are. I personally do not play chess. I'm more like the sergeants of arms at the chess club. But these gentlemen are the ones who put in all the effort, have worked with these students to get them where they're at, and the results is what you see on the table and the other trophies that we have at the primary school. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rogers and Mr. Mumford, and they can tell you about what they do.
I don't like speaking,
That's okay.
but nevertheless, I'm here. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Microphone. See, I told you I didn't like doing this. All right, but I'm here. Okay. Do me a favor. When I call your name, chess team members, please stand. Traveling chess members. Alexander Moore, Gabriel Kunkel, Emma Kunkel, Kaylee Likens. I got all y'all, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and a privilege to present to you. They're your children, but they my babies too. Please, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. These kids have worked long and hard to get to where they are, and I'm proud of each and every one of them. I'm proud of all the time that we've spent working with these children, and they are truly amazing. This community is truly amazing, and they are you. They are you. They represent you. There's only one. Mr. Sheeler told me this a while ago. He said there's only one Fairborn on the whole planet.
Whole galaxy.
Oh, excuse me, the whole galaxy.
Whole galaxy.
Yeah. So these children are not just the champions for the city. They're not the champions of the region. They're the champions of the state. When I walked in here, well, actually some people may ask me, how did I get in here? And I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. But I was walking down the street one day, and I had gone to 3 other schools, and they had told me no. And I walked in the Fairborn primary, and I never will forget that day. It was October. It was 2015 I walked in. And I said, I'm here to see if you guys are interested in the chess program. And the receptionist was at the door. She said, well, well, I said, well, that's your third trip to the well. I guess that's a no. And then another secretary overheard and said, have a seat, I'll call Ernie. I was looking forward to getting turned down. I never in my wildest imagination thought I would be here. And so I'm waiting for Ernie, and here comes this smooth brother coming up looking like $1 million. He come up to me, he said, you want to do chess? He said, yeah. He said, okay, walk with me. I said, oh, this is a strange rejection. And, you know, we got together with the principals, and it was as smooth as silk. And we've been there ever since, and I've never regretted a single day walking in that door. And again, these children make me proud. These are my babies, and this is just the beginning, because it is our objective to make the chess club so prevalent that every time you look up, you will see one of us. You're going to get tired of seeing us. You're going to see us at Kroger's. You're going to see us at Speedway. You're going to see us at the library. You're going to see us everywhere. We want to use chess to make this an international city for chess. That is our objective. We have a 5-year plan. We are expanding. That plan will include, or what we would like for it to include, will be a room in every school building in this district. We want to use chess as an educational and teaching tool for these children to boost math scores into the stratosphere. That is our objective. We will be reaching out. We will be doing fundraisers so that our kids will have the opportunity to travel. We have some upcoming tournaments. Queen City, isn't that right, Mr. Rogers? Queen City, Brain Freeze, and February, is that the state? We're not certain. Okay. So we will need the community support as far as being able to travel. We will also be expanding as far as equipment is concerned. We will also be expanding as far as bringing in new instructors. We are organizing here to get a grandmaster in this city to work with our children. We're not playing around. We believe in them. So the only question now is do you believe in them? So I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to give it to Lauren Rogers. And he's going to take us home.
And that's fabulous, because he left me the fun part. Because the fun part is Miss Kaylee Likens. Come on down. These are my 4th graders, and I had the extreme honor and privilege of taking these folks to state grade levels on the 17th of last month. That's a tournament that is a rare opportunity because it's one of the few instances where these children play folks only in their own grade level. So we had a special opportunity. And it was also an opportunity for me to do what I enjoy, which is refuting the argument, but you can't. But you can't run a program with K through 12 kids and make your captain a 4th grader. Yeah, Alexander Moore, come on down. You can't run a program with K through 12 kids and make your co-captain a 4th grader, because that just doesn't work. Gabriel Kunkel. We have a double dipper up here today, ladies and gentlemen. Out of 13 competition sections from the kindergarten up through senior and high school, the 4th grade section was the most hotly contested. The 1st and 2nd place finishers both had 8 points. It had to be settled on tie breaks, just about giving their coach a heart attack. But it's okay, I'll take it. I am so proud of these young folks. Give it up one more time.
Where's the guy? Get the trophy.
Yeah, get the trophy.
Come on.
You guys didn't have to.
Yeah.
You guys did all the work.
Somebody don't know how to talk, you sure will. I did the best I can with what I had.
And you can't take an 8-year-old across the state Emma.
Oh, don't leave yet. Don't leave
You
yet.
can't take an 8-year-old across the state and have success, but guess what? That's what we did. Let this be my active cry for help from the other schools, because the fact that most of our kids are younger is because we started this program in the primary school. That's where the door was open. This program is and will remain K through 12. All applicants, please come see us. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was our honor. I get to be along for
It is, it's fun. You know what else is there? The City Museum, and that's even
Right.
more fun. You should take them.
You know, I just wanted to make one comment that, you know, everything we do is all about the kids. And this is awesome, seeing this many kids here for all the various reasons, so thank you.
Lots of different areas of interest and participation, so it's great to see this.
Do we want to give them a moment to clear out
Yeah.
if they want to? Yeah, because it's,
Yeah.
So, yep.
yep. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
everyone,
you.
for coming.
Thanks, Jim.
Again,
Come
thank
back
you very
and see
much
us.
for your time and effort. Thank you for your time and effort. Thank you very much.
Mr. Wilson.
Oh, she needs a paper sign.
Sure, or,
You're good.
okay, so superintendent, treasurer is on, Mr. Philo's on the end.
Philo.
And the superintendent's on the other end.
She's taking a class, she's got to get our signatures, your signature for Edison.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. In the blue tie. What did you make her think about?
There's 4 state capitals that begin with the same letter as the state.
Fairborn City.
Fairborn,
Yep.
Fairborn City Schools.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I got them going.
You got her going?
That's
Uh-oh.
good stuff. It's making me think.
What was the question?
There are 4 state capitals that begin with the same letter as the state. I'll give you an easy one. One's right next door to us.
We already got that one. They got
Yeah,
that
they
one.
got that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Next up, here to give us a Greene County Career Center update, Mr. Eaker.
It's a tough act to follow tonight.
Yeah.
He's not on the agenda.
Yeah, it is, and I really do want to start out with to follow up a little bit on what we said at the beginning. Bill Spar, for many of you know that he worked here in the school system for many years, and he passed away earlier today. He was also just happened to be one of the longest-serving board members in the Career Center. He was actually appointed back in 1994. He'd been president, vice president, been instrumental in supporting the Career Center and in Xenia. He was also a strong supporter of the FFA and agriculture. In fact, he was recently recognized as an honorary American FFA degree member, a very coveted award. So we keep him. I just found out about today. I mean, about the reason I found out that he had passed away was because the Xenia reporter called me. Anyway, moving on to better things. The Greene County Career Center staff and students want to thank the Fairborn community for their support of Issue 2. The bond issue, which passed with 55% of the total vote, will fund construction of the new Career Center down at 68 and 35. We actually, in Fairborn, all 26 precincts voted in favor of the levy, indicating strong support. And indeed, we actually supported it with 60% overall. So I want to thank everybody for all of their hard work and their support. And I think that along with Beaver Creek, we certainly understand the importance of take flight and aerospace industry here in Greene County. Same time, we're currently conducting the Career Awareness Days at the Career Center, which began after Thanksgiving and extends through the early part of next year. What that is it gives an opportunity for sophomores, 10th graders, to tour the school if they're interested and look into and get briefed on up to 3 programs that may be interested in for the completion of their high school. So anyway, that's going on right now. I talked a little bit last time I was here about the new flight mechanic, aircraft mechanic program. We have been active in that. We've selected a contractor to build the new facility for us. And we're actually going to build it and incorporate classrooms inside of a new hangar that will go up right next to the last new hangar that was built there. Of course, it's going to be very cool program. We have one of the things that we looked at, it's going to be fully compliant with FAA requirements for aircraft mechanics for the aircraft portion of it. We were hoping to be able to squeeze in the aircraft and power plant. However, the FAA is very insistent on the number of hours that are required in instruction and hands-on lab work. So we thought, so we said, okay, let's look at what would be reasonable to expect students. We decided that the aircraft portion of it, it is the bulk of it, it's the bigger part of it. But even that, because of the intensity of this instruction, we're going to have to start with 10th graders. So coming to a school near you is an opportunity to find those kids who would be interested in pursuing a career in aviation no later than the end of their 9th grade, so that they can start. We'll actually start classes hopefully in the summer of 2020 out at the new facility, giving them the core instruction on the aircraft portion of it. We're working with Sinclair, working with Ames Engineering, the aircraft maintenance facility down in Wilmington, getting an awful lot of support on that. We're working with the FAA itself. We've talked to them. It's going to be an intense next 2 years for us. Probably the best news is that everybody who graduates from that program will get a job offer. The lowest job offer that I've heard so far is $18.50 an hour with a guaranteed raise of 50 cents an hour every 3 months for the first 2.5 years. You can do the math on that. But they kicks you over $20 an hour, which ain't bad for a high school. And oh, by the way, you don't get any debt with that. So finally, and I just look at that and go, or you can go to college and accumulate a lot of debt and no job. So anyway, I'm kind of enthusiastic about it. In fact, the manager down at Wilmington started out as an A&P mechanic. He then decided that he was going to go, he got his degree. He now manages 1,000 people and that whole facility down there. Not bad for a kid who went straight into work after his high school. Just for those of you who don't know what you want to be when you grow up. Finally, site preparation is beginning on the new Career Center facility. Ground's being moved even as we speak. Well, it's wet and dark now. We hope to break ground on the facility itself in March, and that will house all of our current Career Center's programs, adding cybersecurity, drone technology, automation and robotics, and advanced materials engineering. So we're going to leave the equine program at the Brush Row facility. If you've not been down to the Agricultural Research Center, you'll understand why. It's only the best indoor riding arena. It's actually heated. It's in this chunk of the world as far as I'm concerned. We're going to leave the veterinary service, the equine sciences stand down there. Veterinary service will actually move to the new facility. So we're basically moving the whole shebang down there. The only thing that we're going to have off campus will be the mechanics course which will be at the airport, and then the veterinary science, which will be at the ARC. So, are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Eaker. Next, I would like to give a security update for the Fairborn City Schools. For quite some time, we have been upgrading security here throughout the system by implementing buzz-in system, upgrading cameras. Here recently, we upgraded at the board office buzz-in system along with cameras outside the buildings. This past August, the Ohio Attorney General's office with House Bill 318 appropriated over $12 million for schools throughout Ohio. Fairborn City Schools was fortunate to get $23,328 through this grant. We are going to purchase approximately 95 new walkie-talkies. We're going to upgrade over 60 bus radios. They're not getting new radios, but they will be upgraded to digitally programmed radios. The nice thing about this, our radios we currently have are very old, and we've been having a lot of trouble with them. So this will help alleviate and increase better communication inside the buildings and also from the board building to each of the buildings. One of the nice features of these radios, there will be a certain amount that have like an orange button with the walkie-talkie. In the event, God forbid, something seriously goes wrong in one of the buildings, you press that orange button on that walkie-talkie and it will automatically go to the city police and the county sheriff's office, and they will automatically send a number of emergency personnel responding. So that's a nice feature of that. So we are in the process of purchasing those, and I'm not quite sure when those will be in, probably towards the end of the year. Jeff, do you know?
We hope to do the bus programming over Christmas break.
Okay, good, good. So we are on top of increasing security throughout this system. It's the age we live in, unfortunately, but we will do everything in our power. And again, the blessing from the board, providing the funds, not only from this grant, but from our general budget to make all this happen. So we are taking steps to increase the safety for all students and staff throughout the district.
This is item F on the agenda, correct?
Right.
Page 6.
Yes.
110,000
Yes,
for the radios.
that is correct, yes, $110,000.
So that was one of the things that was,
Yes.
that I was going to bring up on the important subjects for the agenda.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Mr. Lally.
Next, talk about central registration. Beginning next school year, we will be moving to, or I'm sorry, beginning in January, correct? We will be moving to central registration for parents who come to enroll their child in our school district. It will be centrally located at the board office. Before, if a parent had more than one child entering the district, they had to go to each building to register. That will no longer be the need. It'll be one place, much more efficient. We are going to approve that person who will be the district registrar at later in tonight's board meeting. And it will also alleviate some of the workload from each of the buildings for the secretaries. So that's been a long time coming. So we are very happy and excited about that we will have a district registrar. So we thank the board for their support in adding that position. I think we're, yeah,
There's
go ahead.
3 happy faces back there.
I saw that motion back there, yeah. So,
Ann, you have a question?
yeah.
Clarification, you said that will be at the board office
Yes,
Yes.
the district registrar's office,
with these microphones?
yeah. So, yes, we will be located at the board office, okay? Next up is a building construction update. First, the primary. Not much has changed since last month at the primary, but they do have everything finished there as far as the sewer lines, water lines, and that. We're in a little bit of a lull there at the primary. We did put out bids well over a month ago, and we accepted the lowest bid that we received was from Monarch Construction. The good part about that, we currently had Monarch Construction laying all our sewer lines, water lines, and that, so we will not miss a beat, and there shouldn't be too much downtime. However, with winter setting in, we should start the foundation work and walls going up, hopefully late winter, early spring. So again, as I said last month and the month before that, we're getting closer. It's been a long time coming, and when you see the walls start going up, I think it's going to generate a lot of excitement. So that's where we're at with the primary. Here tonight to talk about the new intermediate school, we have our architects from SH&P to give us a presentation. Here tonight we have Mike Parkinson, Nick Cristofaro, and Brian Hilvert. I think this is a presentation you will all be very impressed with.
Come on up. We don't bite. Lots of good stuff to see. This is a lot in the making. What you're going to see tonight may look finished to you. What I will promise you is it's far from the case. We actually have about, at the end of 2019 is when we'll be actually going out to bid on this project. So some of the stuff you see, again, will look finished, but it's not. There's a lot of refinement yet to go. There's a lot of dirt analysis. That's the fun stuff. A lot of invert studies, utility studies, traffic impact, engineering analysis, electrical loads, a whole bunch of more pieces, parts to put together the puzzle. So this is more of the big picture. Things will change, but I think it's definitely on the right track. I don't see it changing a lot from what you'll see tonight, but there'll be some minor tweaks from here to there as we move forward and adjust things as we go. So here's the project schedule. You see there's 12 steps there. We're at step 1. We'll get through design, as I said, towards the end of 2019 with bidding right on the cusp of 2020. We have to actually get the students and staff out of the intermediate school first. They'll come down to that existing primary school. Once that happens, we'll be able to do all the hazardous materials, what they call abatement. So we'll do abatement first, get all that stuff out of there, and then we'll do the demolition, and then we'll get to build the new project there. And that construction will not be complete till 2022. So a long ways to go. So we're going to be friends for a long time, which is cool. So it's going to be kind of messy out there for a while in the primary, because once we're done constructing that new primary school, the intermediate will have to live on that site for 2 years. So they'll have to have a happy marriage for a couple years, and then they'll have a nice divorce, and then they'll go on their merry way. All right. From a cost perspective, we're looking at just a little over $21 million. The abatement and demolitions, just around $650,000. This is a 103,254 square foot school, which works out to about $207 a square foot, with approximately 1,280 students. There was additional LFI dollars put into the project for 2 additional classrooms and 3 additional small group rooms, so to give you a little bit of expansion and growth there. But we've also done, as we get further into this presentation, we've done some other strategies for you as well to maybe take that 2 to maybe 4 to maybe 6. There's some growth and flexibility in what we've done for you. These are the things. So your primary school, as Mr. Lawley pointed out, came in really great. That afforded the district community, if you will, to go through what we call an alternate list. So what an alternate is it's not in what we call the base bid. Think of it as you buying a car and you're getting the base model, and now you get to sort of pick some options. So these options that you see in front of you are very similar to what we had on the primary, and they are meant to protect the budget. So we have that big bucket, around $21,373,000. And then we have these other pieces, parts here. And what we try and do is really 5% of that hard construction cost go into sort of this alternate analysis, because we feel from a historical standpoint, 5% is a pretty reasonable, hopeful expectation for you to get at least some of that. Really anything over that is not really feasible or a historical sort of expectation of that happening. There we go. So process. We talked about that our design will not actually be wrapped up until the end of 2019. Well, we started here with the visioning process back in May. And the idea was we didn't talk about budget. We didn't talk about site constraints. We didn't talk about soil analysis. We didn't talk about traffic impact studies. We talked about big picture, the dream. How do you see it? How could it be? So a group of teachers and the community got together over, I believe, a week. Betsy, is that about a week-long activity? And so we had gone through this process, and we were getting ready to what they call the program of requirements, sometimes called POR, schematic design. And as we were getting ready to sort of dive into that and hit the schedule, right, because schedule is important. Schedule also drives money, cost impacts, and all those things. There was a discussion amongst the leadership team on the design that we needed to sort of pause for a moment and dive deeper into what that vision meant. So we did. And then what I think it actually benefited the district and community, because we were able to really start off schematic design in a stronger sort of position and sort of get an idea of where to hit the target. So in addition to that visioning, we go through what we call department meetings. This takes place in schematic design. It also takes place in design development. So there's 3 phases of the design: schematic design, design development, and construction documents. About January-ish, end of December, we'll actually start the design development process. Right now, we're going through what they call a phase submission review. So the state has, 4,000-page manual? It's a lot of pages. Yeah, but we do a lot of them, and we almost have it memorized, maybe. Maybe someday there'll be an OSDM competition, and we could all sort of go head-to-head. I would fail that miserably. But these department meetings you see here, they're done in schematic design to sort of fine-tune it. And then we go back, and we go back to the drawing board. We listen, we refine, and then we start DDs. We sort of get those things sort of laid out, and then we regroup, come back again, and meet with all these people again. We say, this is what you tell us. This is where we are. What do you think? Because what we want to do is, when we get to the end of DDs, what does DD stand for, Brian? There we go. Brian and I have worked together. I tricked you, because DD is design development, yes, but at the end of design development, you're done designing. And CDs is really about fine-tuning fun stuff like flashings, right? Lots of flashings, cavity wall drainage stuff, anchorage of windows, all that sort of detailed nuts and bolts stuff. So we don't want to be worrying about, gosh, I need an extra classroom, or gee whiz, I wish, whatever it is, because you don't want to. You don't want to get to that point in cities. So we really try and have really a fine-tuned approach, almost scientific, if you will, as far as how we approach this. So in addition to all those, we also have agencies meetings. We get together with the police, fire, code, zoning, engineering, all those peoples. So while there's 4 of us here tonight who represent SHP, there is Kleinger's representing civil engineering, Joby Smith and Associates for kitchen, GOP for structural, SHP for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, Forward Edge for technology, CTL for on-site testing, and then we have the hazardous materials. So there's a lot of pieces, parts, a lot of players, and it's sometimes like herding cats. So you just got to make sure one little change, and it just, it trickles through everything else. So you really got to be on your toes, really got to be communicating and making sure, because what we don't want to do is get through this whole design process submit for a permit at the end of 19 and not meet with the building department, not meet with zoning, then you got a big oops. We're trying to forego the oopses. We're going to have bumps in the road. I promise you that. The idea is to have small ripples and not waves in the process, and those are a lot easier to overcome than a wave coming crashing down on your head. So it's really important to communicate and get all these things sort of lined up. From a site perspective, it's now 2022. You're in your new building. This is Maple Avenue here. These are the 3 existing oak trees. We've heard that those are very important to save. So far, they're in. We even have, this is the main entry car drop-off here. So the parents would come in here, kind of come up here to this front door here, up maybe to that point for drop-off, and then exit out on that north end. Right now, we're anticipating a turn lane from north to south. We do know that there is a road improvement project along Maple at the same time, so that'll be a lot of fun already. And we'll have road improvements and construction going on, but gosh darn, by 2022, brand new road, bike path, beautiful new building. It'll be wonderful. What you also see in front of you is what we call the minimum zoning requirement, what we consider base OSDM. So we have some plantings on the north side, the south side, some trees spread throughout the existing site. Over here on the east end is Delwood. Your district is unique. I've been doing this 20 years. Can't say that the primary had a lot of buses. The intermediate also has a lot of buses, 39 to be exact. So it's really important that we have proper sight lines and make sure that we have safety there. Right now, not including the bus, there is 139 parking spots in this sort of general area. With the bus lot, so the bus lot's used for buses, overflow parking, and hard surface play. There are gates that will block off that area during the day so it's nice and safe for the kids. We'll have a fence that runs along Delwood there. But that place, let's say it's some event at night that you have, you can open those gates up and have overflow parking. It's about 114 spots. So altogether, 253, which is pretty good for a site this size. It's about 9.72 acres. So on this north end up here is what we have. We have detentions. We have to, part of the new code is you just can't just dump your stormwater directly into the storm system. You have to put it into detention. On those big, big heavy storm nights, heavy rain nights, that will fill up. So it'll fill up and then slowly release within a 48-hour period. But it's not meant to hold water longer than that. This is your site with alternates, so additional plantings that you see, all the stuff that the darker green is the additional plantings, an outdoor classroom area just to the south of the classroom wing there, and then the playground area itself. This is a blow-up of the classroom area. You'll get to see, so we're going to, after we go through the plans, some exterior elevations, Brian here will go through some interior stuff. And if somebody brought popcorn, we got about an 8-minute animation for you, so at the end. I think Nick was going to do some karaoke with that possibly. I don't know.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Next time, DD's, wait for it. Yeah, we have to learn your fight song. Here's a, this is what we call an axonometric. This is a 3D view of the building. So again, this is Maple along here, Delwood back here. Here's that bus drive. Here's the parent drop-off loop, that main parking loop, and that service area. You have kids that will enter in here, and then here off that bus area. This is looking from Delwood back towards that. So kids park all along this U-shape for those buses, and they'll enter in right through here. Mr. Cristofaro.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Mike. So what I'm going to talk about a little bit is the plan and the plan organization. Starting with this space right here in the center of the building. This is the main entry. It's the central arrival point. what we wanted to create at this point was, that bit of an aha moment when you walk into the building, right? Because it's entry is important, so you want to get that experience started off on the right foot. So what we've done there is, as you move in through this kind of one-story vestibule, you'll feel it opens up into a bit of a two-story space. So it gives you a bit of that moment of lift and release when you walk in. Now, this is also important because it's the main arrival point, whether you're dropping off kids coming in from the buses, whether you're coming in for a performance in the evening, this is that space that you pass through. Now, it's also right off of the admin area, which is in orange. So this admin area has visual control over this area, and they also have the visual control over the drop-off out in the front. It's also the dividing line in the building between the spaces that we would consider open to the public or part of the community, and the academic core of the building, which is on the north side of the site. So on the south side, the more community publicly available side is the student dining. And then the stage, which is right off of it. The stage has the ability to be closed off and function as a secondary music space. All the way on the south is the food service space, and immediately to the right of that is the main mechanical spaces and the mechanical yard. And then if you looked at the on the site plan, you saw how they access that on a day-to-day basis. Now, this piece here, this is the gymnasium, which is part of the storm shelter system for the building, built to withstand an EF5 tornado. Pretty heavy-duty part of the building, which also includes the PE storage and its own restroom dedicated to the storm shelter. Moving to the north side of the building, there's 44 classrooms in the academic core of the building. In addition to the potential for future development for 8 more on either end. The special education classrooms are located kind of here centrally so that they can support each other as well as get support from the administration area. There's also 2 extended learning spaces on each floor, one at each end of the building. The extended learning space down here on the east end of the building is intended to be more of a maker space. So it'll have the opportunity for cord reels, it'll have a durable floor, and it's going to open out onto the outdoor learning space. So you can support the curriculum for outdoor spaces through this, through this area. The extended learning area down on the west end of the building, it's going to be outfitted at the same size as the classroom, have a lot of the same technology, a lot of the same casework, but it's also going to have things like the opportunity for MH swings and a lot of other amenities that you potentially don't get in other classrooms. You're also seeing in the plan operable partitions in a lot of the classrooms and also at these extended learning spaces. So the extended learning spaces with the operable partitions, so you can open them up and do more shared teaching activities, larger group activities, and those happen in between almost every other classroom in the plan. On the second floor, you're seeing down to these spaces below with the gymnasium and the student dining. The media center is on the second floor. It's the green space here. And it's kind of considered in this plan a semi-public space. So it's connected directly to the student dining through the stair here, right in the central space. So it can be used in the event that you want to hold an event there, like what we're doing here in this media center tonight. And then continuing to the north of that, you get the rest of your classrooms. There's 22 on the first floor and 22 on the second floor. These larger gray areas are your main mechanical rooms. And then these blue spaces here, these are resource rooms. They subdivide, so you can have different classes and support going through 6 different sections in there. Over here on this side, overlooking the outdoor learning spaces, is the art room, and the deeper purple there, that's the teacher workroom on the 2nd floor. There's also one on the 1st floor. So, talking about the exterior of the building, it is primarily a brick facade. The color scheme that we've talked about is something very similar to the pre-K2, but we added just a little bit of a twist with it. So it's a red brick with a light colored accent. But with the red brick, we wanted something to have a little more detail and depth, bring forth a little more traditional character. So the brick is going to have a little bit of natural variation in it. And to that, where there's a darker color in the brick, we wanted to bring that out as a second accent color. So there's a lighter accent color and a darker accent color. And the darker accent color we've used in the bands, in the space between the windows, and we've also used it on this front piece. One of the things that we recognized early on with the plan was that the main part of the building was going to be located in the center of the site, which puts the front door a pretty far ways back from the street. So that made it really important for us to do things to, call attention to it and highlight, where that main entry is and let people know this is where you go. So it has some features to it that really make it pop. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight was how that media center, how it projects out a little bit and covers that entry, because that's one of the things that signals entry to people trying to figure out where they need to go is that covered entry. This is the only part of the building on the front, on the east and the west, that is clad in the darker accent brick. Now we've also included more glass in this area because transparency is something that is a very inviting feature. It's something that says to the person approaching the building that, hey, come up and check this out. So all these things we put in to really grab that attention from people on the street and help people orient themselves to the building. Now this is kind of the rear view mirror view as you're kind of heading out towards the north end of it. But I think this captures a lot of the intent that we're going for with this front entry. The classroom wing is on the left, and then over on the right, that's the student dining. So as you're dropping kids off, you're dropping them off, and they're heading to the school, either to the student dining or to the classroom wing. So they're seeing these things, and it helps them get oriented quickly to where they need to go. When you're entering from the bus, this is the outdoor learning space that you're going to pass through. We've used a lot of glazing to highlight it as an entry. We've managed to achieve the same effect with the covered entry. And you see where we've also done some work with, large-scale graphics, so that people help people recognize and give the building some more another layer of identity. The other issue we had to tackle was the length of the classroom wing. 44 classrooms create a pretty long building. So what we did was create kind of layers of rhythm on the facades on the north and the south of that classroom wing. And you can see that in how the windows lay out, how the bands run across the building, kind of dividing the building up vertically. And then you see a bit of that accent band at the bottom. So these are all things that we do to create a building that's relatable in scale. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. All right, for the interiors, you're going to see a couple things. On some of these slides, we're going to show what Mike had described as our base bid, kind of bare bones building, and then on the opposite side, you're going to see some of the alternates that he talked about. When we're looking at the interiors here, some of the things I want to point out is what we try to do is try to create an interior environment for the students that's going to be inspiring to them so that they can increase their creativity and willingness to learn, create a bright and open and airy environment so that the children really feel welcome and at home. Our first slide here, this is the gymnasium, which Nick had mentioned also, doubles as our storm shelter. So this is as I'm walking in from the student dining, so I just walked into that space. So the slide on the left, again, is our base bid. So if the bids come in and we're just right on budget and we can't pick any of our wish list items, this is basically what we're going to see. The slide on the right is like if we have the opportunity like we have at the primary building where we can start picking some of those wish list items. So some of the items you'll see obviously on the left of that slide on the right is we have the bleachers. So those are an alternate. The colorful acoustical panels that are in that building or in that space also are all an alternate. And then we have a couple extra basketball backstops that are an alternate as well. The flooring that you see here, so the base bid for the gym will be what we call a sports floor. It is kind of a sheet floor, but does have a little bit of cushion for it, so it is used for like large multi-purpose rooms. And we can get that in kind of a wood grain look. The alternate to that, same as the primary school, would be a full wood gym floor. So this again is the same gym. We're just on the opposite side of the gym. Again, the slide on the left is our base bid, kind of bare bones, no alternates shown. And then the slide on the right is again showing all those alternates in that. So you see the bleachers on the right, again, the acoustical panels and the extra two backstops. I think we killed your remote. There we go. Okay, so these two slides are of the student dining, the cafeteria. Again, same principle. The slide on the left is our base bid, and the slide on the right is our alternates. So this is the view as if I just walked into the building, I'm in that main foyer, that main entry, and I turn right and I look into the student dining, and this is what you're going to see. So you can see we have the stage on the left-hand side. As Nick had mentioned, this stage will also have one of the alternates as a large operable partition to close off the opening of the stage so that we can use that as a music classroom. It's showing the curtain. You can see we have some floor coloring, patterning on the floor, and then a variety of different tables and things. And off that blue wall in the back is that's the kitchen, so that'll be the main serving lines. Then you can see our alternates. Our alternates again would be the acoustical panels in that space, and then what we're looking at is doing like a large wall graphic that would be on that. That'd be fun and energetic for the students. And if you look closely, and you can't quite see them there, but I'll bet you'll see them in the video, you'll see some little hawks hiding around in some of these images. Again, student dining again, this is from the opposite side. So you can see out to the front lot through the large windows on the left. You still have the stage on your right. And then looking towards the back there, that big blue band up on the second floor there on the left-hand side is the media center. And then on the right-hand side is the art room. So we got great views from those two spaces looking down into the cafeteria, which I think will generate a lot of excitement and enthusiasm in the students. We have a nice, cool main stair that kind of leads us up to that second floor, which also be very useful throughout the day as the kids are kind of moving from lunch period to their next class and back and forth. Again, our base bid on the left-hand side and our alternates showing the acoustical panels on the right-hand side. So Nick was showing the large classroom wing up on the north end of the building. Right in the middle of that wing, we have this main stair, which again will be a central stair for all the students and teachers to transverse from the first and second floor. Again, we thought we got this nice big two-story element here. It'd be a great idea as one of our alternates to show another really cool, fun graphic to help inspire creativity and enthusiasm in the students. And again, there you can see a couple of the little hawks. Come on. This is the same stair, but this is a view from the second floor. So if I just left the media center, I'm walking down the hall north, I come up to this stair, this is what we would see. So we'd have a nice kind of open mesh guardrail there so we can see through that. You can see as I look straight out north, I'm looking out. So we got nice windows there, so we're bringing a lot of daylight into that space. And then again, our alternate of that graphic on the right-hand side. So you can see how we cut the floor out and we have that nice two-story element. So that really reads, becomes an element from both floors. So the slide on the left is basically walking down either east or west of our classroom wing. So this is one of our classroom wings. The idea here with the colors, through all of our meetings with the district and with the teachers and staff, what we learned is that the teachers actually like to be paired together. So they like to co-teach. And that was, as Nick mentioned, in the classrooms, we have those operable partitions that we can open up so that we can make two classrooms, basically one large classroom. So the idea here was, since we're pairing two classrooms together, is to pair them with a color. So each set of paired classrooms is a different color. So as we walk down, we can see the different pairs of classrooms. So orange might be social studies and math, blue might be science and whatever. But again, it becomes a way of wayfinding for the students as well, also for any visitors in the building. You can see, along with our normal kind of small room signs that we have on the walls, we're looking at doing some graphics on the walls for room numbering and wayfinding as well, to help everybody kind of find their way out through the building. So you can see on the left of the picture, we have the two classrooms, and then on the right side is one of those small group rooms where we have a large glass glazing in that window, again, to help, again, a lot of that transparency and security throughout the building. On the right slide, the right picture is actually one of our ELAs. So you can see there, we actually have, this is that operable partition that is actually being shown open to that classroom next to it. This is actually the one that has access directly out to that outdoor learning area. So you can kind of see how that can be used as an interaction between the outdoor and indoor space as a learning environment. These two are of a typical classroom. So the slide on the left is if I just entered the classroom from the corridor. So this is my view as I first walk in. When you look out here, you have our main teaching wall to the left, and then to the right would be our teacher's desk and area. And you can see this is windows looking into that small group room that I had mentioned before off of the corridor. So we have a lot of transparency, a lot of glass into that space, so the teachers feel comfortable about sending a student or two students in there to take a makeup test or to work on a project and still have direct visual connectivity to that space. Through all of our meetings, we kind of gave the teachers a couple different options of layouts of these classrooms. The result of that was that we decided to go ahead and group all of our student cubbies to the back of the classroom on the exterior wall. So you can see this is what that reflection is, and we decided to go ahead and put a couple little accent colors in there to help, again, give a little bright and pop to the classroom. And then the slide on the right is basically if I kind of walked straight back to this corner, turned around and looked. So this is the majority of our casework and storage for the teachers. This is that small group room again, so you can see a lot of glass and visual connectivity to that space. we're showing that operable partition between the two classrooms. So I'm actually looking into the next classroom next to me. So you can see as a teacher, if I open that wall and I'm co-teaching with the teacher next to me, the nice large amount of space that we would have together as a team. Again, bringing that pair of that color from the corridor into the classroom, and then maybe having that kind of light blue color as an accent wall on our main teaching wall.
The animation that we're going to show here is going to really sort of solidify what you are seeing here. I know it's probably hard for you to understand and capture everything we're sort of showing. We've been working on it for a while now, so it's like in the back of our head. But this animation is really, I think, going to get you there to sort of put the dots together. Again, what you're seeing here tonight is not the finished product. Enjoy the show. This is, you're approaching the front of the building from the main drop-off drive. So if you're dropping off your student at school, this would be that approach. To the right here is the cafeteria. There's that main entry sequence that Nick talked about with the media center, commons area, if you will, above that. Nick, you said you were going to karaoke right now. Is that no? No? So we're walking into the main entry. To the left is the main office. This is the student entry point, which will be secure access point to the building. Straight ahead is that bus drop-off. And there here to the right is the cafeteria with the alternates for the graphics, the sound panels, the operable partitions. Straight ahead now is we're going to be going into the gymnasium with the alternates for the bleachers, scoreboard, acoustical wall pads, the 2 additional backstops, the wood gym floor. This entire animation does have all the bells and whistles. So, if you will, all the alternates asked for by the district at this point. The bleachers right now, we're roughly about 160 seats in there. It is, what is it, 44 by 74, so it's a little bit smaller than a regulation-sized gym in there, only because it's a 6,000 square foot size gym. Right there, we're looking straight ahead out of the cafeteria to that main drop-off drive. A lot of beautiful daylight coming through. There will be power-operated blinds in that space as well for performances. That is in the base bid. I'd get in trouble if it wasn't. This is that main stair from the cafeteria going up to the media center. Right here, that blue part that you're seeing right up there. Then straight ahead, right, wait, turn my head, oh, sorry. Now we're looking back out at the cafeteria at the small little hawks and graphics. So great space also for performance. I know I would be up there as well. I don't know if I'd be on the floor. You could sell those as extra special seats, get a little extra money. Skybox seats.
I think the first performance is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. So to the right behind me is that art room. Now we're going to be walking into the Commons Media Center, if you will. It'll be a amazing, beautiful, wow moment up there, especially in the fall. Those oak trees and the new plantings out there. We'll have all the soft seating up there, so just a great place to curl up and read a book. We've done some, we've been very mindful of your dollars throughout this process. We're trying to do very simple, but very powerful and beautiful moves. We try to create sort of moments of, sort of capture moments of excitement throughout the building. You've seen a few of them so far, hopefully. Now we're walking down to the main classroom corridor. To the right is that two-story graphics. We're on the second floor right now. And we're going to go down that main stair. So I think these graphics speak volumes, have a lot of power to them. The scale of them gives it that pop and moment of wow. And I love the cuteness of the little hawks. So, yes. Famous now. Now they're in the building. They're awesome. We love them. They put a smile on our face. So now I'm turning down on that main hall. Now I'm going down to the one of the main corridors. So Brian talked about those graphics, the pairing of the classrooms with the color. Some really simple, but we're going to be coming up on the extended learning area right now, opening up to that classroom. So this is the one that we talked about that would have that connection to the alternate outdoor classroom. Now this one will be updated in a future presentation. We talked about just recently about making this the possible art room, makerspace, science room. So this is the one that's going to have that durable flooring, exposed ceiling with the electric cord reels above the tables, to really allow the kids to get down and dirty. Maybe it's also a robotics lab. The idea is that it's not one particular thing. It'll be located on the first floor outside the alternate outdoor classroom, but also on the second floor on the opposite side. So it'll space it out and give a little equality, if you will, between the floors. So now we're in the classroom with the operable partition as the alternate. And then one of the things that the reasons the teachers chose this scheme, because the manual says you get 9 lineal feet of casework, a technology piece of casework, and that's it. That's not a lot. So the cubbies that the teachers decided on allowed them to have a lot more counter space, because we know they have a lot of things that they have out, whether it's papers, whether it's decorations. So it's free, if you will, in quotes, extra counter space. We're double utilizing something. And no, nothing is free. So now we're going back towards the main administrative area. There is no running in the hallways. The first one we had when we presented this, that was going a little too fast. We were told to slow it down, no running. So now we're in that main entry point. To the right is the drop-off for the cars. Now we're going out the doors to the bus drop-off.
30 seconds, we'll get rolling.
Your doors will open. To the left is the alternate outdoor classroom.
Rick.
As you can see, it gives the space a lot of scale to it, gives it purpose, and it's good to have the kids outside learning, to not be stuck in those four walls. I could see this space also being utilized for an event at night. You know, if there was something going on inside and, you know, you have that outdoor playground area, you have some spaces out there, place for those kids to go run around. So with that, you got hands?
We don't have time for questions.
Okay.
We've got to get through the agenda in the next 5 minutes. We'll be available for questions afterwards or the financials. So we've got a board member's got to leave in 5 minutes, so we'll be available.
Sorry, guys,
afterwards.
thanks. Thank you, lovely presentation.
Good job.
So,
Yeah.
Betsy,
Thank
we're
you,
in
Mike.
this.
Sorry to rush you. All right.
Mr.
You're going to
President,
have to sing on the way home.
Mr. President, items 9A, B, and C recommended for the monthly financial report. Authorization of the treasurer to advertise for an RFQ for design professionals. And C, board approved the attached resolution accepting the amounts and rates.
okay. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Milad, and thank you, Mr. Browning.
Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Item 10, new business. It is with great pleasure that we recommend the approval of the contract for Mr. Lally as our permanent superintendent.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. McCourt.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
With pleasure.
Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Item 11, administrative reports and superintendent recommendations. There's some particularly important things in here. On page 5 being the substitute pay approval to $150 and the approval of the building package contract for the primary school, and a new truck for the maintenance crew and the radios. And first reading of board policies. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Milad.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, motion carries. Executive session.
It is recommended to move into executive session for the specified purpose of the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Browning, and I'll second that. And we expect no action
Right.
after this. And the superintendent and the treasurer will also be in attendance in the executive session.
Mr. Browning?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes,
Mr. McCourt?
Yes.
Mrs. Milad?
Yes.
motion carries. We are now in executive session.